Hello, friends, and welcome into Miami Dolphins today. I am Tom Downey. We're going to break down some Dolphins rumors, Christian Wilkins included, and of course, we're going to have some Dalvin Cook conversation because there's always new updates, it seems like. Before we get going, though, whoever comments the most on today's show will get a shout out on a future video. We'll give you guys a couple extra days since not everyone watches the same day or immediately after the video comes out. So flood the comment section. Whoever has the most individual comments will get a shout out on an upcoming video. Let's get in then to the latest on Dalvin Cook because another day, another Dalvin Cook update. This time from ESPN's Jeff Darlington, who says the Dolphins have an offer out to Dalvin Cook, but it is not enough for him to accept at this time, which, as we'll get into more in depth, does make sense, right? There is still mutual interest between the two sides, between Dalvin Cook and between the Dolphins, and there doesn't appear to be any major rush since training camp is still a couple of weeks away for Miami, and Cook doesn't have to panic and sign immediately. So here's what Jeff Darlington reported on ESPN, I believe it was yesterday. The Miami Dolphins remain interested, and they still have an offer on the table, one that Cook is not willing to accept. I can see him trying to drum up a little bit of leverage. He's still interested in joining the Dolphins, but at this point, again, not willing to commit to the deal that they have on the table. So this is news. This is still noteworthy. It also shouldn't be a surprise and probably could have been assumed by all of us watching. In fact, I would guess that many of us had already assumed just that. This offer has been out to Dalvin Cook for a while. Not as long as it feels like, but it has been out there for a while. Dalvin Cook has not accepted said contract. We've known about this contract offer for Dalvin Cook for weeks, or at least days now, right? He has not taken it yet. Therefore, he rejected it. That's how it works, right? He clearly wants more money, or more guaranteed money, or more years, or whatever. That's why he hasn't accepted it yet. If he did want it, if the offer was good enough, he'd be a Dolphin already. I kind of suspect, like Darlington alluded to, maybe this is more of a leverage play for Dalvin Cook, and because I think he does want to be a Dolphin. I think with all the ties, agency, whatever, he's been linked most heavily, even before he got cut, to the Miami Dolphins. I think it makes some sense that that would be the go-to destination. But if you can get an extra $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, whatever it is, well, that's the job of the player and the agent. Job of the team to not overpay for said player. The top teams that have been linked to Cook, kind of in this order, I think, in terms of like the volume of linking to them. The Dolphins, the Jets, the Patriots. Denver kind of brings up the rear. I think they really like Samaje Perine, by the way. I still think Dalvin Cook ends up as a Dolphin, but the timing is still a bit uncertain. More on Cook to come, but today's pinned comment. Who will sign Dalvin Cook? D for the Miami Dolphins. O for a different team altogether, another team. Bonus points if you comment who that team ends up being. Go get your votes at the pinned comment of today's video. So if that ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. There was another interesting part of this idea floated by Jeff Darlington that maybe Cook and the Dolphins could wait another week and change, until the upcoming NFL franchise tag extension deadline for July 17th because of the presence of Barkley and Jacobs. Now, here's what Jeff Darlington said. It has nothing to do with Dalvin Cook, but if Barkley and Jacobs perhaps could reset the market, maybe it would give the Dolphins and Dalvin Cook or another team some idea of what his pay should be. So just that one little threshold maybe we should keep an eye on. If it doesn't happen, Cook and the Dolphins would have to work out something on their own. It's an interesting idea. My biggest issue here is that in theory, Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley are probably going to beat Derrick Henry's contract. They're probably going to be upwards in the $12.5, $13, $14, $15 million per range if they work out a long-term deal. So, or if they reset the market, that's $16 million. I don't think that market really impacts Dalvin Cook's money in the end. Maybe Tony Pollard's potential extension, which I don't know if that's happening in Dallas, could make some more sense. But that's still Dalvin Cook approaching a bigger offer than what he's going to. Maybe it bumps the offer up from the Dolphins a little bit there. I still look back at this top 10 highest paid backs list, and I see 3 franchise tag players. I see other guys who have been linked to contract restructures, already got one, or release, and I see James Conner down there at $7 million. We'll talk about the Conner impact here in a minute. But if you ran the Dolphins, what is the most, assuming it's a one-year deal, that you would pay Dalvin Cook? Would you only give him a couple million? Would you give him 5? Would you give him 7, 8, 9? Would you give him 10? Beyond that number, what would you give him? Sound off for me in the comment section right now. We don't really know what Dalvin Cook's asking price is. There was one report, I believe, from Rich Eisen, and maybe it was Tom Pelissero on the Rich Eisen, so I can't remember which one exactly it was. So that $3-4 million is not going to get it done. So does doubling it get it done? Does tripling it? Is that what he actually wants? Or would he settle for somewhere in the middle? I don't know yet. What I do know is that James Conner makes $7 million a year. And I'm not trying to be like anti-negative James Conner guy right now. But I think Dalvin Cook, even though he has shown signs of decline, is a better player right now than James Conner. So I would bet, knowing what he was in line to make for the Minnesota Vikings, that Cook wants at least $7 million, which the Dolphins can afford to pay. They have $13.5 million in salary cap space right now. They have the cash, the ability to give Dalvin Cook what he wants. Of course, you're factoring in future considerations. You paid Mostert, you paid Wilson, you try to shop one of those guys, etc. But monetarily, yes, the Dolphins can make this work. Jalen Ramsey jerseys are available if you haven't bought yours. It feels like a lot longer than this offseason that the Dolphins got Jalen Ramsey. Maybe it's because I have a toddler at home and it all just kind of blurs together. But it feels like it was a longer time than this offseason in which the Dolphins got Jalen Ramsey. But they did. So if you haven't got his jersey, get it today. Chatsports.com/Ramsey will take you right to the Fanatics site. You can buy the official NFL jersey for Jalen Ramsey. Christian Wilkins conversation now. So ESPN, starting it, it's July. They're coming up with content. They do this every year. They have their top 10 position lists. They have coaches, players, and executives, allegedly for all of those, because they're all anonymous, who knows, rank their top 10 guys at each position group. They merge them all together, and Christian Wilkins just missed out on the top 10. He was the first honorable mention behind Aaron Donald, still number 1. Chris Jones was number 2. Jeffrey Simmons was number 3. Quinn Williams number 4. No complaints. Like that's my top 4. Maybe you can shuffle the order a little bit, but I think they nailed that. Then a bit of a drop off. And then what I noticed interesting was dudes who got paid recently were all pretty high up there. Maybe recency bias. Who knows? Javon Hargrave, Dexter Lawrence, DeForest Buckner, Deron Payne, Cam Hayward, Jonathan Allen, and Wilkins then was number 11. He was the first honorable mention. So is Wilkins a top 10 defensive tackle in the NFL? Y for yes, N for no. We'll spend some time on him here, but sound off for me in the comment section. Oftentimes, outside of maybe, Dexter Lawrence and Deron Payne as more nose guards, sacks what everyone cares about, right? But Christian Wilkins has been really good the last 2 years. Big TFL numbers, good sack numbers. I am a huge fan of Wilkins' game. I think he is a high-end impact defensive tackle. If you want to make him like 9th as opposed to 11th, I am certainly not going to complain on that front. And he is due, by the way, this is important to consider as well, a very large contract. And maybe this time next year, if Wilkins has another strong season and gets paid, maybe he will benefit from what I'm kind of accusing of the recency bias from the ESPN rankings of a lot of guys just got the bag up there, including Javon Hargrave. And maybe that's the number to monitor for Christian Wilkins. I don't think he's the same level of player as Jeffrey Simmons is. I think that is, and Quinn Williams will probably be in that $24 million per year range, but I don't think he's that far behind Deron Payne, Dexter Lawrence, that secondary tier of premier interior defensive linemen, the Hargrave, Allen, Vita Vea. I fully expect whenever the deal gets done for Christian Wilkins, I think it'll be with Miami, by the way, he's probably going to command $20 million per year. And that's fine. He's an awesome interior defensive lineman. If you have not already, please make sure you guys are subscribed. Free Dolphins videos every single day. Hit that sub button right now.